how countries are using sports and entertainment as soft power. When you look at big events, which are entertaining, which attracts viewership that's diverse, are countries looking at that as a tool for promoting, their culture, their heritage? How do you see that?
Well, I think if Dana White said it best, he was speaking about his growth rate in the UFC, and they said, Dana, how can you sustain this growth rate? And he said, by connecting with content, right? So if I don't connect with the content, then I don't have the ability to grow. So if you look at the Jake Paul fight, not the greatest athlete, right? The Super Bowl brings in 200 million viewers. Jake Paul brought in 125 million viewers. And, it was great for Netflix. Yeah. It was great for Jake Paul.
Despite the troubles with the streaming.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they have the NFL coming, so they had to practice, right? So, but it was also great for boxing, right? Not so much the Jake Paul fight, but if you watch that, women's sports in general, boxing in general, that was one of the best fights, and I don't want to say female fights, because it was one of the best fights that I've seen in the past 5 or 6 years. So if you look at a place like India, and you look at Digital India, for example, they're promoting content, they're putting money behind content, and they're putting money behind the platforms that deliver that content, right? And the consumers between 18 and 35 inside of India are, obviously consuming massive amounts of content. So, once again, if you connect sports, the entertainment side of things, that's where the growth value is.
Right. Oliver, this conversation began with sports, but obviously movies are something that connect both Germany. I mean, Indians who studied the history of film, like me, we've seen German expressionist cinema, we've seen, all the different languages in which Indian movies are being made these days. And Indian movies are not just about Hindi cinema or Bollywood, you're seeing all languages from India come in. So Germany and India, in that sense, have a great collaboration to make. The word is content. Sports is content, movies is content.
And what's your question?
The question is that we don't do enough in terms of movies between India and Germany.
This is not that easy. So I think you can't really compare the industry. So we have a private industry, a huge industry in India, but you have a industry that's depend on public fund and public television in Germany. So this is the reason why collaboration and productions are very, very difficult. So I think I don't know how famous German films are in India. So some are, but not all the films. Maybe more older films, I would say.
I will never forget watching Run, Lola, Run. Or Lola Rent. Or Run, Lola, Run.
Yeah. Yes.
So famous in India.
There was an Indian remake, Lupla Peter.
Yes.
We screened it at the festival. Yes. So it was a great film. So, but I think this depends on people. So on the actors and actresses. So if they are known, so people will follow them. Shah Rukh Khan is the actor, so he has some fans in Germany. So, but I don't know if there are so many fans of German actors and actresses in India.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Stefan, you love football just like Indians love cricket. I mean, cricket is a religion in India, and football, I would think, in Germany, right? I've got to ask you this: sports is used as a soft power in holding big international events. Germany hosted Euro 2024, and it was a fantastic tournament, especially in the way, it's too bad for Germany, they lost, but Spain, how brilliant was Spain. But what that does is that sort of puts you on the world map. It, gets everybody talking about what can you expect from the tournament, how is it building up in Germany. How do you look at that as soft power, holding big events, big ticket events in a country? Mike, please.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me to this panel, to this event. Actually, I was asking myself a bit what could be my role here as a director of the youth development program of a football club here in Germany. And I'm happy to speak as a a representative of the host here of this event. Yeah, but to answer your question, it is, you know, if you're talking about sports, politics and economics are not too far.
Yeah.
And talking about big tournaments, it gives countries even a founding moment, like we experienced here in that country. I was in my past working in Qatar, and I remember the words of the ministry when he mentioned the meaning of coming together of different cultures in the youth. And what I experienced there is what in a divided world like we have now at the moment in sports, everything is possible. So we invited teams from India. When I was working for that national system of the Qatar national teams, then we built up cooperation with the club in Delhi. I was spending many nights in the Leela Palace when we were working together with Delhi Dynamos. So sport is building bridges, and as well sport is about creating values in terms of economics. This is what I experienced in my work, and of course in sports as well.
Which leads me to the next question. Do you feel somewhat torn when you say you were working in Qatar? Now, you know, people accused Qatar of sports washing before the World Cup, right? And I'm wondering how that fits into the scheme of things, because by the end of the World Cup, everybody was praising how well it was organized, you know, how well it went. The tourism grew by some 400%. But as somebody who's part of the sporting ecosystem, do you worry about the integrity part of the sport with this?
Not at all. I was working there for 5 years, and I know the Eurocentric way to view what's happened over there. And but I think we should not open a political discussion at this part. But what I see is that even in that country, we had the possibility to bring in so many foreigners to experience the Arabian world. And I think this is a value maybe music can open as well, or movies, but sports brings everybody together. So I see it very positively. And here we were talking a lot of sports washing, but I don't see it. I see it differently.
Okay. Friedrich, you know, I'm getting back to the other half of this, which is entertainment and movies. And look, so many Germans end up watching Indian movies. There is that bridge that these two cultures can have through movies. And it can be done both ways. It just doesn't have to be Germans watching Indian movies, but more and more Indians watching German films, and maybe Germany making films for the Indian market. You know, how do you see the future of how Indo-German relations, bridges being built in Indo-German relations through movies?
First of all, I'm not a feature film expert and more coming from the streaming side, but I think your question, and I can probably better answer your first question, you answer my colleague to the right-hand side. Okay. For the success of German movies in India, I would need your advice, I'm afraid. The success of Indian movies in Germany, I mean, to my experience, not many people watch Indian movies in Germany, unfortunately. And I think this is the complex thing of culture. In an internal market, services and products, they can easily shift from one country to the other, and you use them. But in culture, it's different because you use your free time, in taste, and cultural heritage becomes more important. And people tend to watch or consume films from places they know, language-wise, cultural-wise, maybe even religion and other topics. And India is such cultural-wise, such a very, very special place for Germans. It's another world. If you haven't been there, but I've been there in Kolkata 20 years ago, and I was so amazed by what I saw, what I sent. And I went to the cinema, and the people started clapping when the main actor came on stage. And the audience was really loud the whole time, which wouldn't happen in Germany. No one is allowed to say something. If you say something in Germany, they kick you out of the cinema. So there are so many different and huge cultural differences between Germany and India that I think it would help if you look at successful films with strong Indian elements, Indian IP, Indian stories, which is where I grew up with, is, for example, Gandhi, which is, of course, Slumdog Millionaire and Lion, and there are other examples. Those films, they were Indian from the heart and from the IP and from where they're set, but they were made by Westerns. And I think to improve the success of Indian content in Germany, Indian filmmakers would need to learn from US or UK, especially filmmakers and production companies, how to address the Western market, because we are so different with with the Bollywood music, with songs and stuff. We don't even know songs in movies, and we like to. We should change it, but it's a tricky one.
I'm asking this in context of only one thing. You saw what happened with a film like RRR at the Oscars. Your song like Natu Natu, winning the best song Oscar award. Oliver, I see you nodding along. So we're not really far away in the sense that like Germans wanting to taste that essence of Indian culture through the movies that Indians like making.
Yes, but Germans are very interested, so we see it at the festival. So most of the Germans think Bollywood is the only kind of film of movie you have from India, but there's much more,
Absolutely.
And I think I always say, when we started the festival in 2004, and then I remember there were a lot of shows with Shah Rukh Khan in Germany, and it's all more a female thing than a man thing. So and I said to them, so you have to. At that time, we had a huge TV show in Germany. It was called Wetten, dass. So, and I said, you have to bring him there, that the people get notice of him, that he can more than sing and dance in films. So, but it didn't happen. So, the actors and actresses are not known here. So, for example, we had a film at the last festival. It was Unlocked with Babil Khan, Irfan Khan's son. So, nobody knows Irfan Khan, but when I say he acted in Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, so they say, oh yes, he was the Indian-looking guy. So says, yes, this is his son. So, but people don't know. So you have to bring the people here and to make them well known, that young people maybe follow him. He's a young actor, so he's wonderful for all social media things. So.
Okay, let's get back to sports then, Jay. The role of sports figures is as a tool for shaping global influence of a country. How do you see that? Virat Kohli, for example, who's a cricketer, he is one of the most followed sportsmen on Instagram. Cristiano Ronaldo being another player. How do you see that when we talk about harnessing soft power for a country?
So I think if you look at the name, image, and licensing, and looking at these athletes at a younger age and starting to develop their ability to connect with fan bases, be in front of large audiences, work with people who have been in cricketing or football, and also merging in other aspects of entertainment. You had mentioned music. So, for example, if you are going to buy a team nowadays, it's a good thing to bring in a celebrity from the music world or Hollywood, right? Because it now boosters the eyeballs onto some of these smaller clubs. So I think, bringing in celebrities and bringing in other athletes into some of these, smaller teams is the ability for you to take that team and push its visibility globally. And, you saw it with Ryan Reynolds and Wrexham.
Yeah.
Tranmere is a small club out of Liverpool. Nobody knows it, but, right now it's got some big celebrities like Rihanna coming into that team, right? So it's going to be known as Rihanna's team, not the little brother in Liverpool, right? So these are the things. People want fully immersive experiences, and people use the word immersive all the time, but really, it's not about just watching the game on Saturday or Sunday. It's bringing it home into your house, whether it's music, video games, food on your table, right? And that's the full experience of sports nowadays. It's not just a game. So,
Friedrich, if I were to ask you, I know right now you're looking like not much has happened, but like a lot can happen. There is music that we're not discussing. There is other content. For example, where I'm coming from is look at what's happening with Korean content. You know, so many people around the world who have never been to Korea, know very little about Korean culture, all consume everything from Korean music to Korean movies to Korean series. That can happen. That is, that can happen, be it German or Indian content.
You're absolutely right about the Korean hype. I mean, Squid Games, of course, is the biggest success on the film side. And when the next season launches, which is I think next month, the Netflix server will break down again. I'm quite sure. I think the difference is the storytelling. What the Koreans and the Japanese and other countries do in opposite to India. You have a very special approach in storytelling. You mix within the storytelling musical elements. The religion is sometimes mythology is sometimes important within your movies, and the tradition of, for example, arranged marriages is often an important topic. And on Squid Games, for example, the show could have been done in other countries of the world because all those special elements you have in Indian content, like I said, religion, cultural heritage, and all the things is not in that in the Korean. They look for us, they're Asian, of course, but the storytelling is very clear, it's very special, and we understand it, and we don't, unfortunately, the Indian way.
Okay.
Stefan, as a director of youth development for VfB Stuttgart, I've got to ask you this. Grassroots development, how important is that? Investment in grassroots development for a country when it comes to seeing their international standings. Does that impact in a big way as well? You know, when somebody says, oh, this country has great infrastructure, facilities, the youth is doing well. Look at what's happening with Lamine Yamal. I mean, he's unstoppable, right? So what do you think is the impact of that?
Football is growing from down to top, not the other way around. So that's why my Chinese colleagues struggling, because it's always coming from top to down. So football has a long tradition here in Europe, and it's more than sports. So we have now a situation where in whole Germany we have renovated the infrastructural part of the youth program, because there is a main question. A bought minute of Bundesliga can't be more expensive than an educated minute of Bundesliga in your own club. Means, so we at the Youth Development Program have the goal and the aim to, with all our infrastructure, with our personnel, with our methodology, with our strategy, to create circumstances and environment where talent can grow. And my experience is, I don't want to concern anybody in India, that a game which is played only with a foot and with a big ball can be played by everyone. And my experience as well, when I was there in New Delhi, we made an open trial and we announced it one day before, and we have 2,000 kids to come. So football is growing from down to top, and it has in Germany a big impact. So even economical. So this is what my chiefs are really asking for, that it's more than a cultural program, it's just creating sports and economical values.
Jay, you know, we're talking about sports and entertainment as if they're two separate verticals. The word is sportstainment because it is the entertainmentification of sports, if I may. You know, like you can't be like, oh, you have to be a football lover, a purist to watch that game. You have to be a cricket lover or purist. Look at what's happening with a league like the Indian Premier League, the IPL for cricket, the second most valuable sporting league in the world. So in a sense, sport is going towards that arena where it has to be as entertaining as possible and not just meant for the purists.
Yeah, I agree. And it's sports in general. It's rivalries, right? Everybody likes to wake up and say, I'm the best today, right? Nobody says, I hope I finish last today. I mean, it's not the way it is. And inherently, we have that in us. And when you look at programs inside of India, so there's the Association of Indian University, right? Which I think is following along the same lines of what they're doing inside of the United States, where obviously we put a lot of emphasis on students and sports in the United States. But, my daughter is 27, graduated college, and went on to the medical field, and that was funded by her playing softball, right? So sports, entertainment, education, it all works together. And the platform that they're doing now in India, in building up these rivalries amongst these universities, I think is something special that they have. That it's something I think that's going to push the athlete from a young age, male and female, and it will grow basically the sports and academic side inside of India. So,
All right, let's throw the floor open for some questions from our audience.
Shri?
Growing up in India, I've actually consumed a lot of German content. You'd be surprised. So there was one detective show called Old Fox. We absolutely loved it growing up as kids, watching that. Then there was a game show which used to be our Sunday morning routine. So do you see an opportunity for German content to be repurposed for an Indian audience today? Even if it means dubbing that content and selling it to a market, because there are niches in the market that you could potentially tap.
It's difficult to answer, I think. Of course, the dubbing as such will make things more accessible, but there's still the setup and the storytelling and the philosophy and the cultural heritage behind. So I'm not so sure. I think what we have to do is, we Germans, to travel more to India and to get to know better your country. I mean, 440 universities were built. Maybe some of them were film schools, so I can try to persuade film students to come over to your universities on the film side. And the same actually the other way around, that even more people than the 250,000 should come to Germany, be it for a longer period or only for a shorter period, that we get to know each other's culture better than we do at the moment, because it's really the different worlds. And if you sell products and services, I think it's easy, because you don't interconnect with faces and with acting and that kind of stuff, but you only have the product and or the service, which you can use from any part of the world. But when you consume culture, it's really, really different.
All right, I think we're running out of time. We've got to wrap this up, but I'm going to end with how I started this. Sports and entertainment has a unique way of connecting people. Somebody growing up in the 80s, 90s, watched a German show, still remembers it, has great memories of it. This is what sports and entertainment can do, and this is what we were talking about when we talk about harnessing soft power. Thank you so much, Oliver, Friedrich, Jay, and Stefan, for taking the time out and contributing to this.
Can I add a last story? So I think it was the 10th anniversary, so we thought about a pre-event for the festival, and we asked an Indian soccer team to come. It was Mahindra United, and they want to come, but there was no club in Stuttgart who was interested to play against them. So maybe we can do it again. So, yes, please.
That is... It's time for that to change for sure. Requesting all the panelists on this playoff to please stay on stage so that they can be felicitated with a stole from Ford Stuttgart. We have Mr. Barun Das from the TV9 network and from Kasper as well.
I don't know what you were saying. Yes.
And requesting all of you to just hold on for just a minute. We'll be done with this felicitation. Ladies and gentlemen, huge round of applause for all the panelists. Of course, but of course. We all got one. Thank you so much, Barunji,
Thank
for doing the honors. Thank you so much. And thank you, Ruben, for doing the honors. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that's what we're doing. It's a wrap for the day. Thank you so much, sir. Okay.
Lovely. Good luck.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.